Hi, my name is Tiffany with the Calcasieu Parish Library, and I'm going to show you how to make these organic wavy earrings today, and I'm even going to show you how to make your own finding. So let's get into the supplies and the things you may need to make these earrings. Here are the supplies that you will need. Some beads if you would like to decorate your piece, some needle nose pliers, some cutting pliers, 1mm wire, and then these straight eye pins. You can use these or you can make your own out of wire. Just makes it easier to make your finding. And then this bead reamer set to smooth down our edges. So now we're going to measure out our wire. We're just going to pull it straight. My mat has a handy dandy measuring tool on it. If yours doesn't, you can always just use a ruler. For today, we're going to take our cutting pliers and we're going to cut at about 5.5, and we're going to cut 2 of these. So now we have 2 straight pieces of wire. I'm using like a sterling silver wire, but you can use a copper wire or anything you'd like. And now we're going to switch over to our needle nose. So what we want to do first is create this little loop right here at the top. This will be our starting point. I'm going to start here right at the top, and I'm going to use a spiral motion. I'm going to curve it in on itself. So if you can see, it's starting to make a curve right here. You'll just keep doing this until you have a full eye at the top. And don't worry if your curve isn't straight, we can always straighten it out like this. All we have to do is take our hands and straighten it up, and then you have a straight eye. So now we're going to begin on our first loop, and we're going to make our first little squiggle. So I want my squiggle to go out this way. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch right below the eye. And I'm going to take this piece of wire that's in my hand right here, in my left hand. All I'm going to do is pinch and then turn it. So that way we have a straight little line going this way. So when we go to curve later, it'll curve back this way. I want a curve here. All I'm going to do is press my needle nose right where I want that curve. And then I'm going to take that wire and just wrap it the other way. So now I'm going to create my first loop. To create my first loop, all I'm going to be doing is twirling that wire on top of itself. So we're doing this motion right here, where I'm twirling it on top of itself. And I'm going to take where I want that loop to start. So I want my loop right here underneath that curve. And you see how the wire is already wanting to bend? That's perfect. So what we're going to do is twirl in. And you see how it's making that tight curve? Instead of leaving that curve, what we're going to do is we're going to continue to just curve it on itself. In order to keep my earring to go down, all I have to do is twist it down. So I'm just twisting it, following that curve yet again. And sometimes if you need to use your hands, you can. So now I'm just going to show you a little bit more variations in curves. So with these right here, I have some regular curves that are really tight, and then I have some looped curves underneath that are a little bit squiggly and different. I'm just going to show you how to do some of those. So if you want kind of a looser curve, instead of starting right where you want that curve, like say if I wanted it right here, you'll start a little bit down and do the same thing where we're pushing the opposite way, like that. And you're going to have more of like a looser curve. This just gives you a little bit of a different look if you want. And sometimes instead of using the pliers, if I want something very loose and organic, I'll use my finger and I'll just push it the opposite way. To have a bead in your design, first you want to take a bead. I'm using this gold one for my little bead set. You can use any color you like and any size you like, but just keep in mind when you make your loop, it will be a bigger loop due to the bead. So I have it framed where I have a little loop here first. So that way when I go to make a circle, I'll have my bead encased in it. So anytime that you slip on a bead, see how it wants to slip off? You'll either need to do another curve or a loop around. So I'm going to take my little pliers down here and I'm going to turn them up this way so they wrap around that bead. So now I have the bead looped properly around and I have my wire sticking straight up. So to get that wire back down, all I'm going to do is wrap it back around to the bottom where I can keep doing my design. So now with my design, I kind of want to add some squiggles. I want to add a little bit more length to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue those squiggles. So I'm going to take where I want that squiggle to start and go the opposite way. So you're kind of thinking in the opposite form. So you're just, anytime you want to make a little curve, you just think of doing the opposite of it. So start here and then curve the opposite way. So now I have my design. I like the way it looks. I think it's cute. So what I'm going to do to keep this from being too pointy, since we cut it off earlier, I'm going to take my bead reamer and I'm just going to file this end down. So now I have a nice smooth end and I have a completed earring. So what you can do is you can make this into a pendant if you like. You don't have to make it into earrings. But what I'm going to show you next is how to make the finding for the top of the earring. So that would be this part right here. So now I'm going to take these straight eye pins and I'm going to make a finding for my earring so we can put it in our ear piercings. We're going to take our needle nose pliers again, and what we're going to do is we're going to make the shape. So we kind of want this loop shape to come through, and I'm going to start about 3/4 down, and I'm going to put my needle nose pliers right there at that point. So now I have my needle nose pliers about 3/4 down. What I'm going to do is go straight down with it. So I want a straight down curve first. So now we have almost like a right angle. I'm going to take my pliers about 1/2 inch or so from our curve. We're taking our wire and I'm curving my wrist down. So now we have our curve for our ear findings. And I'm going to cut about 3/4 or so down from our very last corner. This little tail right here is kind of sharp now from cutting. So all I'm going to do is take my bead reamer and then I'm going to smooth it out. I'm going to join this earring to the finding. And right there at the top of the loop that we made, I'm just going to open it a little bit so that way I can take my finding and I can just slip it right on. So now we have two different earrings, two unique earrings that you can make at home, and they're super easy. You just have to have the right materials and just a little bit of patience. So I hope that you make them, and thank you for watching this video, and thank you for using your public library. Bye!